In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
Hour 2 of Freedom Fools. I'm Brian. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday. It looks nice, but it's deceptive because it is windy and chilly. Let's look at the quote of the day. If you want to run as fast as the men, you've got to train like the men. That quote from Florence Griffith Joyner. She was taken away from us at a very, very young age, but FloJo, not only could she run, but she was a pretty damn good fashion designer. All right, let's get back to where we were at the tail end of hour number 1. A report out today, actually out yesterday, in the Wall Street Journal. I think it came out last evening. The United States will pay 20% of Gaza reconstruction, officials say. Now, I'm a little leery here. I shouldn't say leery. I think I'm more trying to figure it out because it says 20%. 20% of 112, rounded off, $billion would be how much? Something in the teens, right? That a fair jump? Something in the teens. This whole report is 32 pages, and it's a PowerPoint presentation. And it's been sent to numerous countries, to people that have expressed an interest in fixing up Gaza. Nowhere have I seen or read or heard that any of the Palestinians, any of the Gazans were involved in the making of this new plan. But according to the Wall Street Journal report, the United States would serve as a financial anchor for the project. Financial anchor. Guess what that means? Providing $60 billion in grants and loan guarantees to back new debt with the expectation that it would become self-financing as local industry and the broader economy recovers. Now, that sounds like this is a Western society and, capitalism is supposed to rule the day. It doesn't sound like countries in that region, the way they operate. Not that they don't have capitalism, but it's a more restrained type capitalism. Not everybody can readily get involved. Once again, I haven't heard anything about the Gazans being a big part of this. One of the slides, remember there's 32 slides in the PowerPoint presentation, describes a revitalized Rafah. It imagines Rafah as the new administrative center for that Gaza Strip. It would house about 500,000 residents. The plan would also call for monetizing 70% of Gaza's coastline beginning in year 10. Let me go back. This is supposed to be over 20 years. $112 billion over 20 years. So basically $6 billion a year. Now in your brain of brain, $6 billion a year. You got to clean up all of the Barney rubble. That is from the top of the Gaza to the bottom of the Gaza. You've got to get rid of all of the ordnance that didn't fire. Supposedly, you're going to try to get rid of all of the tunnels. 112. We have had fires. We have had hurricane and tornado damage around here. When I say around here, around the United States. Do you think that $112 billion is going to fix up the Gaza Strip? Or do you think, like I think, it's going to cost a hell of a lot more? The big dig, I believe, was millions of dollars when it first started. And look what happened. It was in the billions when it ended. Let's see. The plan would call for monetizing 70% of Gaza's coastline beginning in year 10 and estimates the glitzy Riviera could lead to over $55 billion in long-run investment return. That makes sense? Yeah, okay. According to the Wall Street Journal, the slideshow labeled sensitive does not detail which countries or companies would finance the project. But the World Bank would have a role, the report said. Israeli officials were consulted during the plan's development. Some observers, however, view the plans with skepticism. Here's a quote from Stephen Cook, who is a senior fellow for the Middle East at the Council on Foreign Relations. He told the Wall Street Journal, nothing happens until Hamas disarms. Hamas will not disarm, so nothing will happen. Some of the countries consulted, basically got to sit down and go through a 32-page run over of what Gaza is going to look like. Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey. Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey. I guess if you've got the money to put into it, it might not be a bad deal. But what's your thought on the United States of America being the financial anchor, footing 20% of the bill, which could be $60 billion in grants and guarantees? And what if Hamas doesn't disarm? What if, and I believe somewhere in here it says Hamas is supposed to destroy the tunnels. Put your thinking cap on for a second. If you're Hamas, are you disarming? Are you destroying the tunnels? No matter what you might think about Hamas, I don't think their dummies comes to your mind. They were heavily financed by Netanyahu. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about October 7, 2023. They did set up and start the invasion on Israel. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. In fact, they've stated what their intentions were, and judging by what they stated and what happened, we can't sit here and say they lied to us. And they have told us there's no reason for them to disarm, especially if Israel is being on the up and up. So what do you think of this plan? Is it good? Good for the United States? Good for your tax dollars? Maybe we should put the tariff money in there. But if you're going to use tariff money, it better be quick, because the Supreme Court might say, no more tariff money. Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
I am. How are you?
I'm cleaning my car. Going out to dinner tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Taking some of my new neighbors, so.
Well,
yeah,
why don't you ask them how they feel about using some of our money for Gaza?
You think I want to kill the mood with that?
Sure.
Pretty nuts.
There's already been enough killing over there. Why not?
Yeah, on all sides. You know, I look in the right conditions, and if you think about Dubai and you think about Abu Dhabi and you think about some of these larger than life cities that are, they kind of rise above the Arab world a little bit, because that's where Arabs go to party, and Muslims could go to party, but they can still maintain their religion and, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's sort of it's like the Hong Kong of the Middle East, right? And I think that could happen, actually. I mean, Trump's not wrong when he initially said, when you look at that piece of land that, is in the Gaza Strip and what's on the Mediterranean, it is billions of dollars a piece of land that could be developed. It's always this may sound funny. It's always been a thing in my head too, going, why are all these countries down in Central and South America so poor when they're sitting on the Caribbean? I mean, they should be competing. Each country should be competing for resort rights and, retiree rights for people from different countries. And, I think that makes a better world in general. There's more money, there's more opportunity, there's more opportunity for jobs, raising people out of poverty. But I know obviously the government's there to prevent that. And I guess going back to what you said, I would be into it for 20%, but I don't think we have a peace level that's going to be sustainable. I mean, could it all be bombed to the ground again, like after it's built? Probably, but I don't.
Well, if you don't get Hamas on board, what are you expecting?
Well, Hamas is supposed to get off board, right? There isn't supposed to be a Hamas based on the peace plan that was presented, but that Hamas is waiting for Israel. Israel's waiting for Hamas. We're back in I won't say which standoff, but we're back in one of those standoffs again.
I think Hamas, they agreed to a ceasefire. I'm not sure that they agreed to all of this disarming and all that other stuff. It was written in a plan, but it's like you have three different plans. The one that they agreed to did not include disarming and blowing up their tunnels and stuff like that. The plan that was initially, it was all the points were on the plan. It wasn't 1 point or 2 points. It was all the points were on the plan. I read the plan. It was pretty ABC. I think it fit on one page. The issue is, does Hamas want to continue to control and exist? And I know they're trying to say that they're a security measure for the Palestinians, but what about the voice of the Palestinians? Forget about Israel. I'm just talking about the Palestinians, because I don't believe a militarized force is people that drive around with AKs on the back of a pickup truck. I don't consider that a security force. I think that's a good point. I'm here like you are.
Me too.
You're here. But it's one of those things. I have heard that Hamas is also the governing force that used to make sure that the trash pickup took place, that the people got paid on time. Hamas is not just a militant group. They're also the government of that area. To your other point, which I think is keen, You talked about the Palestinians. Nowhere am I reading here that they were consulted. Israel was consulted about this plan, but the Palestinians weren't.
Well, again, who sat at the table and said point 13 out of 25 we don't agree to? I mean, they actually executed the plan, right?
Who did?
So the first part, the Hamas executed the plan. The first thing
like
they did was
they executed the plan that would lead to the ceasefire and releasing of hostages. They did not agree to any of the other stuff.
Well, that's the point is, so when you sit down and write a contract, like if you and I were writing a contract with a bunch of lawyers around, we're going to agree to everything in the contract before you execute it. And so I wasn't at the table. Maybe they did agree to it. I have no idea. I can't, but they did. They did start moving down the path by which I commend them. They stopped they did the ceasefire. They started to return, and they did return almost all except for one right now, I think, of the hostages. That was point 2. And then the next point was disarmament, and they stopped. So I commend them for what they did, but we haven't got out of a war footing there. So do I want to see 20% of our income, or 20%, the U.S. paying 20% towards rebuilding it? Hell no, not right now. I'd be thrilled to see the Palestinians elect their own leaders outside of Hamas and develop a peaceful coexistence with Israel. They used to have somewhat of that because Palestinians made up a lot of the workforce in Israel. But, again, when you have these political players and Islamists and all this other stuff that they're putting things in the position of their Bible or their, whatever you want to call it, their religion, I don't know what to say. People need to be safe, and once they're safe, they can exercise all sorts of other things like, making money and creating businesses and peacefully going to their source of church or religion or mosque or whichever they want to do. But we're not in that place right now for sure. So
got you on that. Hey, thanks for the call. Merry happy.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
508-996-0500 to get on to the program. Yeah, I've been following, not as much lately, but certainly when they were going through the negotiations, Hamas did not agree to disarm. They did not agree to extinguish their tunnels, any of that type of stuff. And to the caller's point, the Palestinians holding elections. I think that would be great if they could. But right now they don't even have a place to hold elections. They're still not allowed to freely travel, even freely travel within the zone that they're in. They're still not able to get all of the aid that was promised to them in the agreement. And if you're not getting the aid that was promised in the agreement, if Israel still has the wherewithal to kill people and has been doing so, according to reports, why would Hamas disarm? Would you? The enemy is willing to, as they say, stop firing on you and yours. You've got some of their prisoners, they've got some of yours, and you work out an agreement on an exchange. You do the exchange. But that doesn't mean you gave up your weapons. If you're just now tuning in, a report in the Wall Street Journal, I believe it came out last evening after Brian's beat, report U.S. will pay 20% of Gaza reconstruction, officials say. I started reading this and I said, you know what? This is a 2026 Marshall Plan, but it's going to last a lot longer than the 2 or 3 years that the Marshall Plan in Europe to fix up Germany and many of the other European nations after World War II. This is supposed to be a 20-year reconstruction plan with the United States of America, and I'm reading that as your tax dollars and my tax dollars, funding 20% of the cost. That cost, estimated today, is $112 billion. Whew. And I go, whew, because that's today's money, $112 billion. You know, that $112 billion in 20 years, how much do you think it'll be then? Countries reportedly interested in this plan and have been shown the plan by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner include Egypt, Turkey or Turkiya, and Qatar. These nations, they've got the money. I mean, if they really feel like chipping in, my humble guess is, at least with Egypt and Qatar, is that they would like to see more Palestinians say in what's going to happen here. According to the Wall Street Journal, you know, this is where I'm getting the information. Haaretz also has a similar story. Nowhere do they mention that the Palestinians, never mind Hamas, but the Palestinians had any say over this plan. Doesn't say what happens to the Palestinians during this whole reconstruction period. There is a slide showing the revitalization of Rafah. It shows Rafah as the new administrative center. Think of it like this. Rafah is what Boston is to Massachusetts. And there would be about 500,000 residents in Rafah. So basically, what they're trying to do is the hell with Gaza City, and Rafah is going to be the new capital. To the yous and me's, that really doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean a damn thing. But it doesn't mean anything to you. It doesn't mean anything to me because we don't live there. Our trinkets, family photos, whatever that might be remaining, that's not our stuff, but it is their stuff. It's the Palestinians' land, and yet you have other countries, in this particular case, people that are known to be great in the construction industry are revitalizing this area and basically saying, this is what it's going to look like. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. I don't think they're doing it for their health. I think they're doing it for their wealth. Jared Kushner was talking about this Gaza Strip long before October 7, 2023. This property had been eyed as a Riviera. Donald Trump mentioned it. Kushner mentioned it. And it looks like Israel did the dirty work. They pummeled the place. And now it's up for the other folks to come in and do reconstruction. Israel, they were shown the plan. They were consulted during the development of the 32-page PowerPoint presentation. But not the Palestinians. Why do you think the Palestinians weren't consulted? I mean, it is their home, right? You're saying that Rafah will house about 500,000 residents, 500,000 out of what's remaining out of 2 million. So why not consult them? Don't you think that they should have some kind of say about what happens to their homeland? Or are we secretly saying this isn't a Palestinian homeland anymore? Wait a minute. Wasn't that part of the agreement, a pathway? Is this the pathway? You don't consult them about it? Let's hear from you. Thank you.
Hi.
Hiya.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon to you.
Oh, my goodness. I'm glad it was such a better day for you to drive in, right? No rain, beautiful sun. A little cold, though, right?
Ah, humbug. Yeah,
And
very cold. Yesterday, it wasn't cold at all.
No, I know. Crazy weather we're having. But what Canada's having right now is coming down, swooping through Kentucky and coming right to us. It's snowing there. They had the rain, they had the melt, then they had the freezing rain, and now it's snowing. So it's definitely coming our way. But, Brian, I just wanted to say to you that whenever there's a war-torn country, and the United States will step in, and we will pay to rebuild everything. But here's the thing. It's kind of like what we said last night. We didn't really talk on it so much, but it's the quid pro quo. It's like, okay, we're going to help you rebuild this war-torn, but we're going to have our presence. We're going to have this, we're going to have this, we're going to have the rights to this and that. And that's just, this doesn't catch me by surprise. Are you really surprised?
So to answer your question, when we helped to rebuild Japan after Nagasaki and Hiroshima, we did consult the Japanese. We did consult the Germans and the Dutch and the French and the different nations, England. We didn't just come in there and this is how it's going to be.
Right. No, well, you have to go through the United Nations. Obviously, this is a big thing. But also, whoever steps up, and it's always the United States that spends the most money to always rebuild war-torn countries. Always. It's always us. And but because it's always us, they know that, this isn't free. You're going to have to let our presence be there, let us have a camp, let us do this, let us do that. That's just it, period. It's like Taiwan. We're there. Our base is there. That's the way it is. To me, this is no surprise at all. And
I thought we were told a few months ago that we weren't going to pay for this.
No, I don't. This is why I say it's no surprise to me. I don't know why. To you, you're highly intelligent. I would think that this is no surprise to you. Everybody else.
No, it isn't. But I guess I'd like to go back. This administration said we weren't going to pay for it, and yet it looks like we are going to pay for it. How many times has the administration said one thing and something polar opposite is happening?
This wouldn't happen. I don't care if it's Donald Trump. I don't care who would be the president as of today's present time. What's going on with the Gaza is that's property. That's huge property. Donald Trump, he's a property man. He's a property developer. When he made the joke way back when, we'll make that into a huge resort, this and that, I really felt like he wasn't joking. But at the same time, he knows. Right, no, he wasn't. But at the same time, he knows he can't do that. But it doesn't mean, and whether it's him or not, when this war, if there is actually Hamas, they are trying to be a part of this ceasefire and all that there. But here's the thing. Irregardless of what president, the truth of the matter is, that has to be rebuilt. And it's not going to just be us. It will be other nations, but it will be the majority of our money. Every military individual that has college education, that's there, that goes overseas to whatever, be it their architecture experience, that's what they want through their college degrees, whatever it is, electrical, boom, boom, construction, they're all going to be sent there. It'll be American military personnel rebuilding Gaza. And we will have a piece of that.
So in other words, the Palestinians can't even help to rebuild their own area?
They could chip in, sure, because we're going to need...
Do you hear what you're saying? Do you hear what you're saying? They can chip in. It's their land.
Okay, excuse the word chip. They can also be employed and get paid to rebuild their own land. Absolutely. Of course there'll be employment for them as well.
So in other words, they can't be the contractor. They can't be the contractor.
Sure they
can be employed.
Sure they can. America, you know what? We're going to start it. We're going to build it up. We're going to give them, because they don't even know where to begin with the rubble.
How do you know? We look at other people like they don't know what to do. How do we know?
Egypt is the only closest place where they can bring equipment in and help get all that rubble off the ground and start from the bottom. And that land is so loose from all the bombing. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this. And, yeah, America's going to step in, and other nations. Now, listen, though. I don't care if it's Donald Trump or not. It wouldn't matter. Whatever president, if this war ended, you don't think any president of the United States wouldn't go and say, hey, we're going to help you rebuild. Yeah, and you don't think we're going to put...
In fact, I think we are obligated to help rebuild because the bombs that landed in Gaza said made in the USA. We have an obligation.
Well, okay, so the bombs that landed in Israel, where were they made from?
Don't know.
From Hamas, right? So who cares where the bombs came?
Not all of them were from Hamas, but I understand what you're saying. But nobody's fixing up Israel.
Hey, the bombs that were made in the USA also had from China. We got a lot of stuff imported from China, right? Not everything we make here on our land is 100% made in the USA. We all know this now. But Brian, you're trying to argue a point.
Let's then talk about China for a second. Why can't China come up with a plan to build? They are masters at building from scratch.
No, they are. Their hands are plenty full with Russia.
And our hands aren't plenty full with Venezuela and Ukraine and all these. Well, everybody's got hands that are in somebody else's pocket.
China's hands is in Russia's pockets because they're waiting to help rebuild Ukraine. China wants Russia to get Ukraine. China wants it as bad as Russia. That's why they're in cahoots. And so is it Brazil, whatever. You know, it's the oil, the gas, the land, the minerals, the three of them right there in cahoots. But it doesn't matter because now you're jumping all over the map.
No, I'm jumping all over the map?
Well, we're trying to stay with Gaza. You wanted to bring China up, but we don't have to talk about China. We're talking about Gaza. We're talking about the Palestinians.
Yes, we are. And what I'm talking about is rebuilding. You're saying that the United States, it's like we're the only nation that can do this. And yes, we do help many nations out. But I'm trying to say there are other nations that could help in this particular case that would be more neutral than the United States.
Listen, every war the United Nations, it's not just there to have these big powwow meetings. It's there. They're going to kick in money, but the United States is always the forefront. We just are. And that's just that. And we have to be, in this particular case, all I'm getting at is the Palestinians need to be consulted. And let's not just limit who has an opportunity to help out with this plan. No, absolutely not. The Palestinians will be very much involved because the Americans can't stay there, but we know how to start it from the ground up. We've got the equipment to see how to to do land sensors to go so far down to see what it's like. Is it hollow here? Do you build there? Like, we got all that technology. We will get them up and going. And if their own people will help and rebuild their own community. I'm very proud as an American to say America will do that. And that's what we do. And no, it's not just us, but we do take on a lot. But unfortunately, it is always a quid pro quo. And it wouldn't matter if it's Donald Trump or any other president. That's what we do. That's how we roll. And that's why America's strong. That's why. Because we don't just go and do something for somebody else and say, oh, okay, now you can get it blown all up. No, we're going to take over a part so other countries will think twice about trying to hurt. Like Israel.
Okay, look, it sounds good the way that you're putting the lollipop on it. Other nations don't feel that way. And maybe it's time that we take a little step down off of our high horse, not a personal high horse, a national high horse, to say, hey, we're not the only ones who can do this project. Do we need to pay our bill for the damages done? Yes. But drawing up the whole plan, excluding the people that actually live on the land, that ain't right. And considering this plan was actually drawn up before October 7, 2023, it does bring suspicion. I do appreciate your call. Thank you very much. 508-996-0500. That's how you get onto the program. If you're just finding out, because quite frankly, I don't recall when I was listening to ABC News at the top of the 2 o'clock hour, them mentioning anything about this report in the Wall Street Journal. I think it came out last evening. In a pitch to Arab countries, U.S. officials have proposed Project Sunrise, a 20-year, $112.1 billion plan for Gaza's post-war reconstruction, with a commitment to fund 20% of the cost, according to the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, well, I think that we're going to end up paying because we paid to blow it up. But my problem is, if you read on into the report by the two big ones, Jared Kushner, the brother-in-law of the president, Stephen Witkoff, one of his personal real estate attorneys, you see that these people are high finance construction builders. And since Kushner was talking about this prior to October 7th, about the property being a Riviera-type property, it makes me believe that we are not only playing a larger role here, but we are excluding the people who live there, the Palestinians. Because nowhere in this report does it mention that the Palestinians were consulted about the report. It does mention, and rightly so, that Israel was consulted. Let's hear from you. Thank you. Hello.
Hey, hi. How are you doing?
We are. How are you?
Hey, I agree with you 100%. And I'm just thinking, how does it sound? Trump Tower, Gaza, and Trump Golf Course, Gaza. And can you imagine all the money that's going to be made on this deal? You know, it's unbelievable. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It stinks.
It does.
I mean, you can smell the Washingtons, Lincolns, and Franklins all the way over here.
Oh, it's gonna, with the price they give out, it's gonna be 10 times that price.
Yeah.
It's gonna fall back on us, like you're saying. And a lot of very rich people are going to be making some serious change on this. Kushner, a big real estate guy, like you're saying, he's going to have his hands on this. The Trump family is going to have their hands on this. And like I say, money, money, money. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no problem with making money. I really don't. I love the capitalist formula that we have. But this reeks. I mean, this is like Adelson giving $250 million to the Trump campaign, so she can have the capital of Israel moved to a different, those kind of things. That reeks.
It's unbelievable. And the writing's on the wall on so many different things. And if people could just stand back and, put aside the politics and just listen and see what's going on, they could learn a heck of a lot more.
Gotcha, man. Thanks for the call. I do appreciate it. 508-996-0500. And to the previous caller, I do agree that virtually any administration would be doing it. But this is right here in front of our face. And the part about Jared Kushner was in front of our face before October 7th. That's what helps to make this stink. I see you there. I'm going to get to you in just a second.
There are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. And whatever you do to deal with one of man's flaws, it creates another problem. But that you try to get the best trade-off you can get, and that's all you can hope for.
This is WBSM.
Here's what's happening this week on Town Square Sunday. As the year wraps up, Jack Spillane from the New Bedford Light will offer some thoughts on New Bedford city government and reflect on some of the major news stories of the year. And Stan Levine and Maria Connor will be inviting everyone to a free Christmas dinner. They're carrying on a tradition that began more than 50 years ago. I'm Jim Phillips. Join me for Town Square Sunday, Sunday morning at 6 and 11 on 1420 WBSM and 99.5 FM.
It's about options. Instead of booking your next trip online, call Low Cost Air at 800-221-6085. Next option, speak with the real person to compare prices and schedules instead of AI. And with Low Cost Air, booking is an option. There's never an obligation to purchase anything. So call Low Cost Air to compare at 800-221-6085. Low Cost Air, 800-221-6085.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
There's no better fool than the Freedom Fools. Now, back to Brian.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
Feeling liberated? 508-996-0500. Hello.
Oh, thanks, Brian. I hope you're going to have a good pack of holidays. I think, is the solstice tonight or tomorrow?
Don't quote me. Somebody asked me earlier. It's usually on the 21st or the 22nd.
Well, I think as the world turns, it's slowly but surely getting on to the other day. It used to be the 21st, for like 40 years or something, but it's sneaking up there. But happy solstice first, and then Christmas and Hanukkah and all of them. And let's see, what else? I'm glad you were having that conversation with the previous caller. You're talking about Adelson and Jerusalem and it also gets into Gaza. They really made a mockery out of the Holy Land. They discovered oil underneath Gaza, and so now they'll kill everybody on top of it so that they can steal the mineral rights to get that oil. You know, in normal mineral rights, the people that live above the mineral get to have the mineral rights. And so, as far as I'm concerned, they'll kill everybody that has, land. It's like killing the firstborn. Well, they'll kill them all because they don't want anybody to have the mineral rights. So if we want to put a stop to the slaughter in Gaza, we'll boycott Chevron for first. They seem to be doing the fracking of the Holy Land. But as you were talking about the Jerusalem and the Edelman angle, when Israel was created, 1948, all of these Jews are leaving Germany as quick as they can, trying to find a home. The United Nations had just been founded, and they authorized the creation of Israel, but they mandated that Jerusalem should always be an international city because it's too important to Christians, Muslims, and Jews. And if you were to have one religion
it would cause a problem.
Yeah, World War III is the way they described it. And so now you've got a gambling family, a casino family from Las Vegas, cashes in $250 million to mandate that the United Nations mandate is foiled, and that real estate developer Trump and 666 boy Jared Kushner, and I use that specifically. If you look up Jared Kushner as 666 Fifth Avenue in New York City, he ended up buying a high-rise building in 2007. Just as the stock market was about to crash, he bought at the highest price, and then he was going dead broke because he was stuck with that building. And so when Donald Trump gets elected, then he goes on a tear to cash in on anybody that would back him up on 666 Fifth Avenue. And so it's pretty interesting that he was the one that had the Middle East peace program that authorized Jerusalem to become the property of Israel specific.
I got you. Only because of time, I'm going to let you go. But sure. It is just another one of those stories that are out there. I guess Donald Trump can help proclaim Jerusalem the capital of Israel. I don't know exactly how that works, but apparently it has, and Miriam seems to approve.
And bring about the freedom of these people by any means necessary.
This is WBSM.
Ow. So you think Santa will like these red and green M&Ms?
I don't know. I never met the guy. He does exist.
They do exist. Santa?
You know, most people are not business owners, but just about everybody knows one. The dirty little secret is most owners don't qualify for a bank loan because they lack collateral. At Legitimate Business Funders, owners can get up to $2 million in funding with no collateral, even with a low credit score. And they can get that funding in a couple of days. Find Legitimate Business Funders online at legitimatebusinessfunders.com. Legitimatebusinessfunders.com.
I always had a private doctor. I didn't think I needed VA care. Then I learned VA is ranked above private care systems nearby and costs less. I'm getting the best care of my life with providers trained to treat veterans. Get what you earn. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
Freedom Pools on WBSM. Here's more with Brian Thomas.
Leave a toy for Johnny. Leave a doll for Mary. Leave something pretty for Donnie. And don't forget about Gary. Santa Claus goes straight to the ghetto. Santa Claus straight to the ghetto. Tell them James Brown sent you. Go straight to the ghetto. You know that I know what you will see, 'cause that was once me.
Everyone gets due process, and that is what the U.S. Attorney's Office is for. It's what the immigration courts are for. They all do that. He will go in front of an immigration judge. He'll have the opportunity to post bond.
Never did find out if they got the father of that kid, the junior in Milford. Never did find that out. $112.1 billion. 20% of that money turns out to be $22,420,000,000